Hey there, welcome to the channel. This is Kephinicus, and today's World of Warships video will feature a game in the Hawkins, the Tier 5 Tech 3 Royal Navy Heavy Cruiser. This is a Tier 7 maximum game on the map Two Brothers, so we're gonna have to put this ship through its paces. I spawned southwest, so I'm going to try to use the island at F4 G4 for cover initially, and see how things play out. Also, before we get started, I'd like to apologize if there are any issues with the video quality today. I'm having trouble with my video capture software and am working to have it fixed before the next video comes out. Anyway, I have to admit that I was looking forward to trying out the Royal Navy Heavy Cruiser line, and when I got the ship during the campaign over Christmas, it was kind of the perfect timing to start down the branch. To be honest though, I find the ship to be a bit of a mixed bag. The Hawkins has really short firing range for a Tier 5 cruiser at 13.9 kilometers when maxed out, so researching the upgraded fire control system should be your first priority. The guns are mounted in 5 single mounts along the center line, with an additional single wing mounted gun on each side, so your maximum broadside is 6 guns. However, it's rather awkward to use the rear guns as you have to give a lot of broadside to bring the 5th and 6th guns into play. So you want to make sure no one is looking your way before you turn to unmask those 2 guns. Otherwise, it's a quick trip back to the port. The layout really makes this feel like an archaic cruiser design. And sure enough, the Hawkins was designed during World War I and launched right after the war in 1919. There is a silver lining, however, as these guns are 190mm caliber with 32mm of HE penetration, so you can expect to go through the plating of most of the ships you'll face. The HE damage is good, second only to the Furutaka at 3050 max per shell with a 15% base fire chance, and the AP tops out at 4050 on a Citadel hit. The armor profile is actually really good with a 38mm bow armor plate below the nose and 51mm of plating or more along the sides of the ship. So as long as folks don't shoot your nose or deck, you should be okay bow tanking. The Hawkins also has a repair party consumable, like its fellow Royal Navy cruisers, and this can really help extend your survivability in the game, especially since most other cruisers don't get this consumable until Tier 9. So this is gravy on top of the already hefty 32,200 HP pool for the ship. The AA isn't bad either for a Tier 5 cruiser, and you can also mount the defensive fire AA consumable, even though I prefer hydroacoustic search. And finally, it does have torpedoes, but these only have a 7 kilometer range, so therefore last ditch defense or YOLO plays more than anything else. There are, however, a couple of places where the ship falls short, other than the issues we've mentioned about its guns. And the first is that the concealment on the Hawkins is rather meh at 11 kilometers with captain skills and camouflage. But at least you can say it's not an Omaha, right? Also, the maneuverability on this ship is rather tragic, with a 9.1 second rudder shift and only 30 knots base top speed. But let's get back to the game. Our kamikaze, who had the best concealment in this game, unfortunately got spotted or hydroed and sank. And our Mutsuki went down this slot and got taken out, so not a good start for our team, losing 2 of our 4 destroyers. Things aren't looking too good here on our flank either, as we have a Bliskawicha, Fiji, myself, and an Omaha in the back, against at least a destroyer, 3 cruisers, a battleship, and carrier focus. The Nicholas also heavily outspots our Bliska, so we have a disadvantage from a vision perspective as well. And there goes our 3rd destroyer on the other side of the map, so we're now down 3 destroyers. I do take a few shots at the Nicholas and was able to reset him. Unfortunately though, I think I don't give enough lead here, so the Nicholas does get away. so I take another salvo here, but I don't think that's going to do very much. I am also going to push into the smoke cover kindly provided by our Bliskawicha and continue firing at the enemy team. You can see our Fiji over to the left there as well. I'm kind of lucky here that as the enemy team is pushing in, they are staying within my gun range, which is only 13.9 kilometers. We do have enemy planes coming in, so we gotta take them out in order to make sure that we stay undetected behind the smoke screen. And there we go. You can see some of the AA at work here for the Hawkins. Unfortunately, it looks like the Nicholas is going to spot the Fiji on our left flank, and the Fiji does get taken out. So I'm going to push up a little bit here, see if I can spot any of the enemy cruisers, and see if I can put some damage out on them. The marble hit does pop up, and I take my time to line up the shot, make sure I get a hit here, and shots are out. They look good. And there we go, we do get our first kill, and I immediately, of course, turn away to make sure I don't present a full broadside to the Colorado who's back there. And I do get away taking only about 4,000 damage. So now it's just the Bliska, the Omaha, and myself left on this flank, and two of us are bottom tier cruisers. So I'm going to play it a little bit more safe here. I had also thought initially that the Omaha was AFK the entire time, but turns out that he's been firing from range, so my fault there, Omaha. We do see the Mysore pushing up at about 12 kilometers, so I do start firing at him, and I notice that there are two people targeting me, so I know that one of them is probably the Colorado in the back. The Mysore does smoke up, and I immediately turn away because I do expect the Colorado to be firing at me from somewhere in that smoke cloud. And let's see. Yep, the Colorado pops up, so that means he is shooting. I try to avoid, but I do take some damage from both the Mysore and the Colorado, but my return fire puts the Colorado on fire, which he immediately uses the damage control party. So this is actually the perfect opportunity to light him up again. He is at the maximum range of my guns though, and I do want to make sure that I continue to duck and weave and avoid any of the shells that are coming from him. There we go, we get lucky with one fire and completely avoid his return shells. I'm going to shoot at him again, see if we can light a fire, maybe midships, and we do. So lucky there, we get two permanent fires on the Colorado, and I'm going to go ahead and turn. Hopefully by turning in this time we avoid a lot of his shells. We do take one hit, a couple of penetrations it looks like, but he's got two fires and he's going to cook up nicely. Unfortunately, our Bliska seems to have gotten caught by the Mysore over here, so I'm trying to help him out, but then the CV comes in with a torpedo bomber strike, so I do have to turn away again to try to avoid these torpedoes. And unfortunately, the rudder shift just isn't enough for me to avoid the second torpedo there. So we're gonna go ahead and try to keep firing at the Mysore. I'm turning back in to get more of my guns into play, but I take a hit I think from the Colorado, and then I realize that I've probably turned a little bit too much and given too much broadside to the Mysore, and he really takes a chunk out of me. But fortunately we have a heal, so I can get some of that HP back while I kite away. And our Omaha is also pushing forward to take some of the pressure off of me, so that's great. we're going to keep firing at the Mysore. See if we can take him out. And just check to make sure that we're not going to get targeted by the carrier there. We have shells out. He's at 2000 health. And we do get the kill. Unfortunately, it looks like our Omaha got chunked really heavily by the Colorado. And I'm going to try to help him against the Nicholas, but I'm not really doing a very good job shooting at this Nicholas. He is behind the island trying to predict where he's going. The Colorado takes out the Omaha, but at the same time the Omaha takes out the Nicholas. So that's not too bad of a trade. At this point it looks like we've held off this flank. The Colorado is heading east now, and I've got an Alba coming to back me up here. Our other flank also looks pretty solid as well. So I'm going to head into A and see if I can cap it out and maybe knock out the enemy CV that is over on this side. Also going to help our Alba out here with some AA fire against the torpedo bombers as I turn my guns against the Visser that seems to be pushing into the A cap. Maybe he's trying to turn away and run. You can see the speed of the Hawkins isn't great here. We're slowly building up to 30 knots and the Visser is just outside of our shooting range here. Alright, it's finally in range. Unfortunately he disappears. But again, two cruisers here trying to shoot out all the planes that the Visser is sending at us. And looks like not a problem there. The Hawkins again, AA isn't bad at all on this ship. So you do see the Visser is running. I start out with HE, but then it looks like he's giving a pretty good broadside, so I switched to AP on my second salvo there. I do have to turn to avoid the torpedoes, and I think I kind of overturn a little bit here, and the rudder shift just isn't fast enough to turn back. So I take one torpedo on the side. I'm still shooting AP at the Visser, of course. And you can see, I mean, the AP damage isn't bad. That's 2 shell hits and over 2000 damage. But as soon as the Visser starts turning and angling away, that damage drops off pretty quickly and you'll start seeing quite a few bounces or hits to the torpedo belt, which does no damage. There you go. Looks like 3 hits, but they all ricocheted. But of course the Visser is turning to present a pretty steep angle. So I decide to switch back to HE here. And you can see, I mean, the HE is a lot more consistent because of the penetration values that it has. That's 4000 damage. So I actually would tend to use HE a lot more on the ship unless the enemies are giving you a full broadside. I'm also weaving and ducking to avoid planes here and continuing to try to chase the Visser and cap out this A cap here. So the CV is down to a little over 10,000 health. Get a few shots in here, got a fire. Now he's turning out, so I've got a full salvo out and I am stopping and turning in to avoid the torpedo bombers. And then you see the power of the HE of the Hawkins. That's 5000 damage and another fire. And then our Alba, of course, helps us to finish off the CV, and we also get the cap, all the while eating some yummy planes. Unfortunately though, in all that excitement, our eastern flank that I thought was secure has all died. The Akatsuki, Surrey, and Colorado on the enemy team working well together to take out 3 of our ships for the loss of just the Colorado that we were cooking up earlier. At this point, though, our team is ahead on points, and as long as we stay alive, it should be a win. So I'm gonna push up into the B cap with our Alba following up here behind me and see if we can go ahead and take the cap to really secure the game. I am taking a little bit more of a northerly course, and as you can see me looking around back there to see where the Alba is, as I expect the Alba to stay closer to the main islands. The carrier does spot the Akatsuki on the other side of the map, and suddenly I am detected, and that's the Surrey coming back to defend the cap here. So I decide that I'm going to turn out, hoping that the Alba will continue on his way and we can kind of pincer this Surrey. But I didn't realize at the time that the Alba actually followed me in my turn. But that's okay though. There's two of us. So I'm going to again try to turn further away and force the Surrey to decide, who is he going to shoot at. He initially starts shooting at me, then he turns to the Alba, turns back to me, so he's trying to decide here who he's shooting at. He's still firing at me, of course, and I am out of my repair party, so I've got to be a little bit more careful. But the guns on the Hawkins is doing some serious damage with HE, and it looks like we might be able to burn him down. He's down to about 4,000 health. And there you go, he's now switches to the Alba, which is a closer target. And so I'm going to slowly turn back in and see if I can take out the Surrey over here. And you can see though with the individual guns, instead of turrets, they kind of sometimes go all over the place. The Surrey's down to 1,000 health. 82, really? Oh well. Um, we've got friends, and between the Alba and myself, we were able to take out that tier 7 cruiser. So let's speed up the replay here. The Akatsuki has taken the decap, but we're pushing for A and should be able to finish this out soon. I tell the Alba to turn on Hydro in case he's spotted, but the Akatsuki is spotted on the other side of the map anyway. So it's a pretty comfortable end of the game for us here on points. Now let's take a look at the post-game results. We did just shy of 118,000 damage, hitting 7 ships and sinking 2 for a high caliber, Confederate and also a Dreadnought achievement. We snagged on 16 planes against a higher tier CV, so that was nice too, showing the AA capabilities of the Hawkins. We got 2,339 base XP, which is really nice in a tier 5 cruiser. We were shooting, of course, higher tier ships, so we did get a little bit of experience there. Also, a shout out to Thick Monkey in the Alba, who came back to help me with the Western push. And again, my apologies to our Omaha, who I thought was AFK early on. Next, you can see that most of our damage was from HE, with 34k from fires and an 80 little bit from AP against the Wesser. For anyone interested, here are the equipment and captain skills I use for this ship. Main armaments mod 1, damage control systems mod 1, and aiming systems mod 1. For captain skills, I have gun feeder, priority target, superintendent, and concealment expertise on dear old Sanar here after I bumped him up to 10 skill points. So the Hawkins. I'm kind of torn on whether or not I like this ship. The HE shells are really good and do consistent damage no matter what battle tier you find yourself in. It's just the short firing range and awkward placement of the guns that stops this from being a really strong ship. Also, firing from single guns instead of turrets with multiple barrels personally feels like it's a little bit less accurate, as each gun seems to fire all over the place, which you saw in the engagement with the Surrey at the end. But again, that may just be user error, being me, of course. Overall, though, the ship isn't bad as long as you keep awareness up and limit enemies to shooting your bow or your angled armor, which can mitigate a lot of the incoming damage. Just don't expect to put out a lot of damage if you are bow tanking, as you limit the number of guns that you can use in that case. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Please feel free to hit the like button or subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined, and please join me again next week for more World of Warships videos. Thank you for watching, and take care.